We gonna get right into it. Now today's story gonna be about none other than Jose, Lil Bert DeJesus. Now, Lil Bert is from down that Badlands section of Philly. And according to Bert himself, he was a shy kid. He tried to be good, but growing up in his neighborhood, you had to fight or become victim. Bert said that he grew up smaller than a lot of the other kids, but he noticed that there were certain elements that can make everybody even. And once he was introduced to these elements, he decided he would no longer be bullied. Now this was the 90s, the late 80s and early 90s, that accurately place everybody back in time to what was going on. We found a little clip.
If I had permission.
So what does he tell his nephew?
Walk away, look away from it, but he can't. How can he turn his eyes? He's not blind. His name not Ray Charles. His name is Drake. He could see. I cannot stop him from seeing what's going on.
Excuse me, miss. You're going to have to back up.
The city has made sporadic attempts to deal with the problem.
I don't feel like my house no more.
During the summer of '92, there was Operation Genesis. It had a nice Old Testament flavor. The idea was to drive the dealers and junkies out by tearing down their hideouts, their shooting galleries. But dreadful as they were, some of the houses slated for demolition were also homes. Sonia Ortiz lived in one of them.
I got 4 kids, I struggle very hard to get what I have. One day to another, they came and said that it's gone. I don't think it's fair. I know it's not a good area. I know that, but it was all I have.
And when the workmen were done, that was it. No one ever came back to rebuild. No new housing was put up for the residents who wanted to make the Badlands livable. Where buildings stood 3 years ago, now there are only vacant lots, covered with tall weeds, full of trash, drug vials, needles. The junkies are still shooting up here, although more likely than not, they've moved into what's left of Arthur Stinson's old home. He and his nephews finally moved out. The only variety of pride that flourishes here anymore is the perverse kind.
This neighborhood has been given the title of the Badlands.
We right in the heart of drug land.
This neighborhood is just full of pain.
Most of the buildings have no running water, no electricity, anything like that. Sometimes, to earn a few dollars, they may let other people come in, and do their drugs, and it would, pretty much charge them for that, charge them like $1.
So they're turning the houses into shooting galleries? Or?
Pretty much, some of them, yeah, they would do, because actually they really don't have no other way to make no money.
The addicts and the squatters live side by side, co-conspirators in desperation, although several of the gutted buildings have been taken over totally by the junkies. A couple of weeks ago, a fire on the second floor of this house temporarily forced the users out into the harsh sunlight. But as soon as the fire trucks left, it was back to business as usual. If the house looks vaguely familiar, it should. This is where Arthur Stinson and his 4 grandnephews used to live. Now, it's one of the sights on the tour.
This is a known hit house.
You want to go in?
Sure. Come on in.
In the Badlands, even the cops have street names. His is Batman.
Don't run, don't run, don't run. Y'all know the deal. Don't run. Ladies, don't run. Don't run. Listen, we know.
Now, and during our research for this story, that cop they just showed down there, Batman, he done put his hands on a lot of people and abused his power down there. But in addition to what was happening on the streets, there was also a culture at City Hall rife with overzealous prosecutors, able to basically freestyle in their opening and closing arguments for dramatic effect, resulting in a bevy, hordes of black Latino men getting incarcerated for the new prisons that were being built up State Road, and the more than 20-something prisons being built in Pennsylvania. All of this would come into play years later. The streets of the Badlands, however, circa 1990s, late 80s, was built for survival. Now, where in New York, you have what they consider their legendary crews on interviews in the Supreme saying, the members saying that profit a week, they was making about 30 grand. Now, I would like to put the world on notice that Philly, I don't even want to say keep up. I want to say trump the situation from a lot of these cities. I want to thank the people from Philly for having patience with me, for painting this picture as we know what's up, but the world is watching. Now, in Philly, at that time, it was a practice that if a guy didn't like you or for whatever reason, you got taken down into the second floor of that roundhouse, the cops would beat the shit out you, cuff you to that table, just beat the shit out you. You know, if you they would swap your signature. It was just all types of abusive conduct and just all type of things just to clear the books. From Somerset SCI, Bert explains exactly what happened during this trial. As he pointed out, a lot of times after that first headline, people don't actually keep up with what's going on. So Bert confessed to a bunch of homicides. Now, the court will find that those confessions was under duress. Also, that the rants that were commonly used were just still used up until not too long ago, where in opening and closing arguments, the DA would basically just freestyle anything just for dramatic effect. So Bert confessed to a slew of crimes. He was in turn found guilty of a slew of crimes. He expressed to me that in the law library, he never gave up, and he found out that although he knew he was innocent of everything, even at trial, the bullets that killed the pregnant woman and that hit the man didn't come from his gun, as it was a shootout between him and Capone. They still convicted him. He was able to find the case and fight and give everything back, get resentenced, and take a plea deal in which will allow him to be on the streets in a few years. Now, this right here was a different piece that I did. As Bert is locked up, he's only a couple clicks away for everybody down the Badlands. He told me to tell everybody down there it'd be the ones that you count out that you really could count on. This is Philly Paid in Full. We'll be back at y'all soon.